Hey guys, I'm Sportspective.
And I'm Skayzzz. Welcome to the ISO Paradox podcast with the first episode.
So today we're going to do a playoff series breakdown for the first round in the NBA. Skate, how we feeling?
East looks weak, West always looks strong. There's nothing really
Yeah,
to it.
for sure. Okay, so let's get started right away.
What series you want to talk about first?
Let's do my favorite matchup personally, the Lakers Timberwolves series.
Okay.
I have a little bit of affiliation with LA, but I
A
will
little bit.
be uh as non-biased as I possibly can.
Hmm.
So let's start off.
Can you talk about some of the you want to talk about some of the key factors?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, key factors in a seven-game series will definitely be Luka Doncic, who we saw last year in the Western Conference Finals with the Dallas Mavericks, play this exact same team, minus Julius Randle and the Cat substitution.
Mhm.
They also got Dante as well in that trade, but it's a pretty similar squad. So I think from what we've watched last year, there's really nobody on the court that can guard Luka.
Do you
You know,
think McDaniels has any chance of it or is
I
past?
I think that, Luka averaging 32, 10, and 8 last year on, elite shooting splits. It was hard because McDaniels is a good defender. He
Yeah.
has upside, but he has a lot of problems with Luka's weight displacement on him. And
Mhm.
Luka can definitely get to the paint at will, and just kind of work him on all levels of the court.
How about LeBron James and his role? What is it going to be like with Luca being the star, and Luca being the first option? How is LeBron going to fall into it? Because most of his career, well, 99% of his career has been him being the first option. So how's LeBron going to
Mhm.
fit into this series?
I think for LeBron, I think the best case for LA to beat Minnesota is if LeBron James, I think, takes a little bit of a backseat on offense.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I think he should completely disregard being aggressive and driving to the basket and getting his own looks, but I think that when you have guys like Luka and Austin Reeves on the court who can hunt down matchups and create size advantages over their defenders,
Like Mike
I
Conley?
think, yeah, Mike Conley, that's a big one, and I think also Julius Randle, if Luka can get that screen, or even Austin Reeves can get that screen switch, I
Mhm.
think that they can attack Mike Conley, Julius Randle, and then obviously Jaden McDaniels is an elite defender, but Luka kind of had his way with him last year.
Okay, and we talked a little, mentioned the Mike Conley matchup, but normally teams like LeBron James said in one interview have two really good defenders. That third one is gonna have to guard my man Austin Reeves. As much
Hmm.
as I don't like the Lakers, but he's one of the best, if not the best, third options in the league. So
Yeah,
maybe talk a little bit about him and how he's gonna fit in this series.
I think I think we mentioned the Conley matchup that he's going to have. I think Conley will be his primary defender heading into the first round, which is today. So I'm looking forward to watching that. But I think that he's so good in his triple threat isolation and pick and roll plays. He can hit the mid range consistently. He's shown that all season. He can hit the three. He's a really good 3-point shooter. And him driving to the basket, it's really hard to defend. And I don't think that the Timberwolves can keep up with that, especially if the Lakers put some shooters on the floor like Dorian Finney-Smith or Rui Hachimura. It's going to be hard for the Timberwolves to collapse that paint when Luka or even Austin Reeves or LeBron James drives.
Is there any worries about Austin Reeves' defense or maybe his past experience in the playoffs?
I think that for Reeves, he needs to just focus on giving as much as he can because he's one of those guys where he might not be necessarily a good defender or a great defender, but he gives a lot of energy. So I think that if he just gives energy, I don't think that he'll have too much trouble if he's guarding Mike Conley, but I think that he will start the series off playing against Anthony Edwards. So I think that he will definitely have some trouble because Anthony Edwards has shown that he's really tough guard to contain and to limit his shots and his playmaking ability as well on the floor.
Okay. And this is the big question mark. I can't lie to you. Since the helpfulness of Nico Harrison for the Los Angeles Lakers, um, they've fallen more into a small ball kind of lineup because of the
Hmm.
loss of their primary big and defender Anthony Davis. So how is it going to affect both their defense, having a small ball lineup, and maybe how to, yeah, just how to guard overall bigger
Yeah.
teams like a Rudy Gobert as much as, Gobert is going to do. But
hmm
yeah, how do you
No,
think?
absolutely. I think that it's crucial for LA to continue how they've played against good teams this regular season, with the loss of Anthony Davis and the addition of Luca, which is just everyone has to give 100% team effort. And whereas the Timberwolves have one big guy, 7'1" center, Rudy Gobert, who's an elite rebounder, Lakers can throw three, four bodies at him on a rebound,
Mhm.
which can, get
They also have like a
deflect.
Nas Reed too. That's a big
Yeah,
thing too. Like
yeah.
they have.
Nas Reed will definitely, I think, be more crucial to this series for Minnesota, just because of his ability to space the floor. But I think that if the Lakers on offense can knock down their timely jump shots and 3 point, I think that Rudy Gobert will have a tough time playing, especially if he can't be super active on boards on the offensive end and get putbacks. I think if he struggles offensively, I feel like Lakers can use that as a mismatch to get him off the floor, which would be huge for LA in terms of attacking the rim and applying pressure.
Okay.
I actually want to ask you, what do you think are some key matchups to watch in this series aside from the Luka McDaniels one that we kind of talked about before?
Okay. So my first one would probably be the LeBron Randall kind of matchup. I don't know if we're gonna look for the Timberwolves are gonna look for a Randall to LeBron,
Hmm
knowing that LeBron's physicality, even against that kind of four position where he's being played with like a Rui, where he can still like they have similar builds. So I believe if the Lakers can find that matchup of LeBron against maybe a Randall, that'd probably be the most optimal. If like we said before, the Austin Reeves Conley matchup. I don't know if the Timberwolves are going to be, I might say, stupid enough to put Conley on an Austin Reeves. If maybe
hmm
if they put, Shay's cousin on him or something like that.
Alexander
It's
Walker
same
and
difference.
Shay's cousin.
Yeah. If
No, but I think like going into the like especially the starting lineups,
Mhm,
like if you think about it matchup wise, Conley I think will be forced to guard Austin Reeves because
mhm,
there's no way he can compete with Luca, right?
mhm.
There's no way he can compete with LeBron or Hachimura, and he's
Yeah.
not going to guard Hayes.
Mhm,
So I think Austin Reeves is his only matchup. Now, if they sub in guys like Dante or Alexander Walker, who play a little bit better defense and can space the floor as well, I think that it could benefit them, but it can also be a disadvantage because if you think about it, Mike Conley is their best playmaker. He has the
mhm.
most IQ on the team. I know Anthony Edwards is like the best player, but
Yeah,
Conley's still the
he's the old guy.
yeah, yeah.
He's
He's the
the
old guy, and
yeah.
he's the glue, right? That keeps
Yeah.
everything together, and he's vocal, and his leadership presence still brings, a lot of advantages to the Timberwolves. So I think if Lakers can find a way to play both Conley and Gobert off the floor,
Mhm,
I think that that's going to be a huge disadvantage to Minnesota, especially because Anthony Edwards' playmaking ability hasn't been super productive this year. And Lakers love to throw blitzes at him, throw double coverage, even a box in one, maybe with a guy like Jared Vanderbilt, who's had success guarding Anthony Edwards this season. So I think that it could be difficult for the Timberwolves if, some of their guys find mismatches early.
mhm. Okay, so I wanted to ask about just the overall like feeling of because there is a guy on the Timberwolves that we know, Anthony Edwards. He's not going
Mhm,
to be quiet this series. He's going to be the guy to lead the charge offensively, and maybe not even defensively. I wouldn't say defensively. Like he's going to be that dog that's going to be like, how are the wings going to stop
mhm,
Anthony Edwards? Like how are your defensive like? Sure, you have guys like Vando, DFS to like maybe contain those type of guys, but like
mhm.
this is Anthony Edwards in and like
Yeah.
the first round. And if memory serves, last year he took his team to the conference finals, so he does not he has a little experience under his belt, I'd say at least
mhm.
in those kind of settings. And what he did to KD, he could be doing to LeBron. What do you think?
I think that the JJ Redick's coaching staff did a great job at throwing double coverages at him
Mhm.
throughout the regular season games. Now, obviously, playoff is a little bit different, especially when the Timberwolves go to that shooting lineup who can space the floor. So I think that Edwards will have his way with basically almost everyone on the
Oh,
Lakers.
sorry, I want to say this. Just a message to the Los Angeles Lakers. Um, Bronny James is not your scouting guy for Anthony Edwards. If that, I just want to put that out there. That's
And
that.
and I have a little comeback to that,
Okay.
which is Joe Ingles is not your scouting report for Luka Doncic to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay.
So
That is
um,
true. That is true.
I think they pretty
Maybe
much
maybe
cancel
look
out.
at 50. Maybe look at 55 or something like that. You can
Mm.
maybe scout Joe Ingles, but not right now.
Yeah. I think that for Edwards, he's definitely going to play the way he plays.
Mhm.
He's gonna he's gonna attack the rim aggressively. He's gonna draw fouls. His 3-point shot's been very efficient this year. His little go-to mid-range shot off the left dribble has been
Mhm.
crucial for the Timberwolves, and he
You
just
know he's
creates space.
explosive. You know he's
Yeah, he's
explosive.
explosive, right? He's definitely gonna get some insane dunks this series. Like it's gonna happen, right? But I think that when we look at this overall Timberwolves team as a whole,
Mhm.
substituting a guy like Karl Towns for Julius Randle, I don't think necessarily makes them better. I don't think they've been better this year than they were last year. I think that's pretty valid to say.
Yeah.
Um,
They've had
you
their
know,
ups and downs like a
yeah, they
lot.
started off
Maybe
really slow. Yeah.
I'd say the second half of the season, like the ending part, I feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves picked up in a way,
hmm
you
hmm
know? Like a lot of those like teams have like a team like the Timberwolves kind of needed a Karl Towns opposed to Julius
Randall.
Randle, you know,
hmm
like
Yeah.
and I get I at least I would have thought that Dante DiVincenzo would have had a greater role coming out of New York and how impactful he was there, but I just Shay's cousin, that's all I'm gonna say.
He's
Shay's
good.
cousin,
He's good.
he's
He's
really
good.
good.
So, I think when I'm differentiating Julius Randle to Karl Anthony Towns, I think it's historically proven that Randle does not play good in the postseason. His field goal drops tremendously. His 3-point shot drops tremendously. He kind of doesn't focus much on defense. Now he's not a pushover. He has a big frame. He's physical. He's aggressive. So I don't think that the Lakers will push him around. But I think that in terms of the offense and defensive like disproportionality, I feel that he will have issues with the Lakers offense, just how skilled they are at scoring and spacing the floor. And then if he can't contribute consistently throughout the series on his own end, I feel like that's definitely a disadvantage for the Timberwolves. Whereas I see guys like Nickel Alexander-Walker and Naz Reid being more of a factor in the series than Julius Randle, just because these guys bring spark off the bench. They bring energy. And they definitely can shoot the ball lights out and attack the rim at will. Now, I will say this about Randle, as much as I'm kind of letting it be known that he's not really good in the playoffs, which is a fact. His playmaking ability is really good, and I think that he can use that to his advantage in the series
Mhm.
because he's a physical frame. He can draw in double teams, and he's had his way with Rui Hachimura over the past. So I think that's also pretty valid going into the series, where I think that could be the primary matchup that we see, uh, where he looks for that mismatch instead of having LeBron James guard him, because LeBron James has been a good defender, especially on bigs this year. And there's moments in the game where LeBron James can shut out practically anyone that he's guarded for little instances of the game. So I think that Randall will definitely look for that Hachimura matchup instead.
Okay. For I'd say at least the Los Angeles Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have
Mm-hmm.
a best and worst kind of case scenario, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
for a Los Angeles Lakers, and this is excluding injuries because injuries it's not something we really can control. And obviously it's always a worst case scenario. But I'd say the worst case scenario for maybe the Lakers would be the disappearance of like maybe the bench, I'd say. Like as much as I think effectiveness that guys like Vando, like DFS, like guys that can come off and guard that 4 or 5. Now,
Hmm.
do I believe in Rudy Gobert and his offense? And no, I don't believe it
Hmm.
for a second. But do I believe that if they run where it's like he's the focal point of that mismatch each time, and they have to send maybe two guys on him. There's always that one guy on him, and Mike Conley will always make that read. You
Hmm.
know, a Randall, like we were just talking about it, his playmaking
Yeah.
skills, great. And Anthony Edwards, if they pass him the ball,
He'll
he,
he'll do he'll do what
he
Anthony Edwards does. Yeah. Yeah.
it's that's the worst case scenario I'd say for the Lakers.
Hmm.
Now, being said that, through the season they've shown that like containing guys like Jokic or Cat to
Hmm.
like having games where they're not the most effective, and like sure I could see that, and like that's like the best case scenario holding a and Rudy is no Jokic.
Yeah. No, no, not even no Karl Anthony Towns, right?
Not
Like
even a
he,
cat at all. Like,
yeah, he has a lot of offensive limitations that those guys don't have. Those guys can shoot the mid range
mhm.
effectively. Those guys can shoot the three ball effectively. Their post game's a lot better than Gobert's. So I think that while Gobert could be somebody who gives the Lakers trouble in terms of the rebounding and
Interior
the second chance
defense,
points,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
like,
but I think that if we can hold up strong against him, like
mm,
I don't even see Jackson Hayes having that much trouble against Rudy Gobert. Like
mm.
if I'm being honest, just because Jackson Hayes is
I'd
this
say
like
offensively though. Offensively,
offensively, I think offensively,
yeah,
I don't think Jackson Hayes will be much of a focal point on offense. But
yeah,
if we look back at last year, right, Luka did a great job involving guys like Gafford and Lively, just purely on pick and rolls and
hmm.
purely on alley oops,
And Jackson
right?
Hayes
Just
is a similar,
and
like,
and and
he's
he has that potential to just catch anything at the net.
not
So
that, yeah.
I think that he can definitely be effective in some cases, but
Hmm.
on the defensive end, I don't think he's gonna have much of a problem because Gobert, like I said, he can't really shoot outside of like 5 feet
Hmm.
effectively. I know he hit that little post shot last year, the game
Like,
seven.
yeah.
But that's not his go-to move. He doesn't have a go-to move on offense, right?
Hmm.
So I think that if the Lakers can just focus on playing with togetherness, with grit, with energy, like they've been playing this year against really solid teams where everyone's locked in, everyone's focused. I think JJ's done a great job at, keeping guys maintained and locked in this season.
Better
Uh,
than
Darvin Ham. Yeah.
put your hands in your pocket, Darvin Ham.
Yeah. Contest without fouling.
Yeah, someone would say
J-
the
JJ
best.
Redick's up. JJ Redick's up 36 hours before the Jokic game, trying to figure out what do we do to stop this guy, right? And
Mhm.
and make all the fun of him you want. They did contain him to season low 12 points. I think it's one game. I don't think that really makes much of a difference, but I think that
Yeah.
looking at that and looking at like the Karl Anthony Towns game, the Sangoon game, like
Hmm.
these guys had a lot of trouble with the Lakers' physicality that they brought because the Lakers are play small ball, but their team is not small in that sense, right?
They have tall guards. They have
Where
very tall
they
guards.
have tall, yeah, like their smallest guy on the court is probably Gabe Vincent, right? Who won't be
Fucking
that much
Gabe.
of a presence in the paint at all, only on switches.
Fuck
So
Gabe Vincent.
Celtics killer right there.
Yeah, okay, whatever. We'll get to that. Don't worry about that.
But
We'll
yeah.
get to that shit.
So what do you think in terms of your overall prediction for this series? What do you have?
Okay. As much as I hate the Lakers, we're being objective and we're being non-biased. That's what this show is about. And I want to
Hmm.
say, for me, Lakers in 7.
Seven
Now,
games.
do I believe that Lakers could get it done in less? Yes. It's not like I believe that Lakers are gonna win. Do I believe that Minnesota has a chance to win? There's an area for like yes, they can get like an upset going, but I don't believe in I don't believe them in this stretch. Like I don't
Hmm.
believe I believe more of Lakers substance and that their guys can sometimes their guys can some of their guys can guard from 1 to 5
Hmm.
and or 1 to 4 like they're very versatile defenders and they're no stranger on offense. So I'm taking Lakers in 7.
All right.
I thought I would say
I
that.
agree with you. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Not the 7 games. I think Lakers win this in 6.
Mhm.
So not that much of a difference, but still, I mean, Game 7 is anything can happen. So I think Lakers cruise through this series rather well.
Mhm.
I just think because as much as an offensive ability that Anthony Edwards brings,
Mhm.
I feel that Minnesota can't keep up with the Lakers on offense at the same time, right? And if I'm like viewing dominance, right? We've seen Anthony Edwards, like we said last year, against the Suns, just dominate them, right? But
Mhm.
we also saw a lot of guys on the Suns had problems scoring, right? Like, don't get it twisted. Luka Doncic is no Devin Booker, all right? Like LeBron James is not Kevin Durant at the end of the day,
Fucking
right? Like
Devin
these guys are
Booker.
those guys are great, but
Yeah.
like they're not
They didn't
they're
have a
not
bench either. They like I can't lie,
and
like
they had their
they
team is not
traded.
a team
Yeah.
with Bradley Beal, a team with
Yeah.
Bradley Beal is not going that far. I'm sorry. All
Yeah.
right. This is not 2016 no more when he was on the Wizards playing the Celtics and
We
that
beat him
epic
game
first round
seven.
series right here. Yeah.
Yeah, we beat him game seven.
Oh, yeah, I know. I watched the series, but I'm just saying like,
John Wall. John Wall, and that's it. Okay, yeah, so we're getting sidetracked. Okay.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I just think that, you know, the Lakers have a lot more advantages on offense.
Yeah.
Now, they might lack a little bit on defense, but I don't think that the Timberwolves team constructed right now can hurt them that much that the Lakers offense can't keep up with them, if
Mhm.
not outplay them, right?
The way I see, like, do you have an answer for Anthony Edwards? Not like you have like things to stop Anthony Edwards, but
Hmm.
then a Lakers fan could say, so you would say, do you have an answer for LeBron James?
Hmm.
Not really. Do you have an answer for Luka Doncic? Hell no. Do you have an answer for Austin Reeves?
It's possible,
It's
but
it's possible.
but
It's just
this year
like
no one's really had a answer for him, right? He's
yeah.
proven that he can, like you said, he's if not the third best string on the team
Mhm.
for any other team, right? The third best star.
Mhm.
So I think that, and I think it's also worth noting that like yes, I think playoffs is a completely different atmosphere, but we did hold Anthony Edwards to 19 points for the regular season this year
Mhm.
in all the games we played. Now, I
Mhm.
won't count some of them. I believe it was 19. I won't count some of them because obviously we had Anthony Davis, and he got ejected in the one game where Luka played. But I think that heading into the series, like we have a lot of guys we can throw at him and just make it harder for him to score. He can get 32 points easily, right? But I
Mhm.
think Lakers will force him to get 32 points on tougher shots, on more shots,
Mhm.
which can kind of be more stagnant towards the offense.
I don't know if I trust. Okay, as much as it sounds like me just badgering the Lakers, which I like to do,
Mm,
I don't know if I do trust Austin Reeves in playoff series, in the playoff atmosphere. Yes, has he been effective in games? Yes, of course. He's a really good player, but what I've seen maybe from the last 2 years, and this might just be the Nuggets, but Lakers like guys on the backhand of their roster, um, I'd say like their sixth guy, their seventh guy, their eighth guy start to like fall down like a Rui Hachimura. He doesn't play that good
yeah,
in
no,
when it comes
yeah.
to playoff time. He kind
Mm,
of disappears. He doesn't shoot as well. Um, a guy, Vando hasn't been in a playoff setting for maybe like since the Warriors in
yeah.
like 2 years ago, right? So like there's question marks about some guys in the Lakers and their effectiveness in the playoffs. We're excluding LeBron James and Luka Doncic because LeBron James is LeBron James, as much as I hate to say that. And Luka Doncic is the guy that brought his team to the finals last year and got beat. So uh Am I believing in those two? Of course. Am I
Yeah,
believing the rest of the roster? I don't know, but
that's
I
fair.
believe in them to beat the
Yeah.
Bulls.
I think that if Lakers can find those mismatches early, I think that they can cruise in 5. Honestly, just because of the limitations that some of the Timberwolves players have on the Lakers. But I think that, given Minnesota the respect that they deserve this year, and the fact that Anthony Edwards is a killer on offense
Mhm.
and defense too, right? Like he will guard. I don't think he'll guard Luka much, just because he didn't have much success with it last year.
Mhm.
But I think he'll guard Austin Reeves,
Try to guard Curry
right?
too.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I
don't.
think that I think that he'll guard Reeves, which could definitely affect the Lakers' offense. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think if guys like Reeves and Hachimura can be consistent just like they've been in the regular season, you know, Lakers in
Yeah.
six.
Um, just to put a button in it, as I just want to say like I think there's a better chance of the Lakers maybe getting past the Minnesota faster than Minnesota would get past them, right? And I like I believe if Minnesota would win, it'd be in a 6 or 7 style game. I
Hmm.
believe if the Lakers would like blow them out early, it would be early. Minnesota, I don't think Minnesota can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm again taking Lakers
We'll
in
see.
7.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see today with the first game and see what those matchups are about. But yeah.
Mhm.